Good evening.
Good evening.
It's quiet in here. Let's get some
Recording
noise.
in progress.
The notice requirement provided for the open public meeting law has been satisfied. Notice properly given. Said notice having been transmitted to the Courier News on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024, as well as posted on the city's website. Clerk, roll call.
Council members Briggs Jones.
Present.
Cherry.
Present.
McCray.
Present.
Sessoms.
Present.
Wyatt.
Present.
Vice President Graham.
Present.
Council President Hockaday.
Present.
We have all members present and a quorum.
Okay, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for the invocation.
Humbly, we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his spirit on all those who work for justice and for peace. Amen.
Amen. We have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 10th.
So, second.
All those in favors?
Aye.
Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, the meeting minutes are approved. We will begin with a presentation by the Department of Recreation. So I want to welcome up Director Ronnie Taylor up, fresh off of a very successful 100th anniversary July 4th parade.
Good job.
All of you sitting up here who participated. It was a fabulous event. We had lots of rain, and I appreciate every last one of you giving up your time and being in the parade, because it would not have been a parade without the council, without the mayor, with all the tada that we do. So thank you all so much. I truly appreciate it. So for tonight, I want to thank Council President. I'd like to thank the mayor and the VA in his absence, who was my supervisor, for allowing me to make this presentation this evening and allowing this item on the agenda. In the past couple of months, the council's been very gracious in allowing me to bring bits and pieces of the history of our parks to you and celebrate the greatness that is the city of Plainfield. So, in 1968, Hannah Atkins Pool was built and opened for the members of the public. It came out of the civil unrest that happened in 1967, and it became aware that there was a dearth of recreational opportunities, especially for African-American families who lived in the west end of town. There were no pools in Plainfield, and the discussion came to where should we put one. And I've been doing this work with the city of Plainfield for 10 years. You all know I had a 17-year career at the YMCA and worked another 10 years with the school district. So aquatics has just been in my wheelhouse, and it's very important to us because black and brown people drown at an exorbitantly higher rate than other people because we don't know how to swim. And it's really from the institutional racism. But we are rich in aquatic facilities here in the city of Plainfield. While not operational at this time, there are 4 indoor pools, and we have 3 pool locations in the city of Plainfield, and we have 2 pools at each site. So we can learn how to swim and teach them. And the Division of Parks and Recreation is the premier of those lessons. So, as doing the history, one of the things there are a couple of things. This is the first in a larger celebration that we are doing. The pool opened June 20th, 1968. So on June 19th, the Friday evening, we're going to do a large celebration at Hannah Atkins Pool. We have an invitation. It will be sent to you all. It's called Swimming Apart. Plainfield, the legacy of segregated water, commemorating the 56th anniversary of the opening of the Plainfield Avenue Pool, which is what it was named then, with special tribute to community elders, Linwood A. Cathcart and Harvey L. Judkins. And that'll be Friday, July 19th. I'm going to read the proclamation in lieu of the mayor, and I just want people to understand all the rich assets that we have in Plainfield, other towns don't have what we have. We have to celebrate them. We have to understand the history. We have to work to keep the funding. And I always I tell everyone, this administration supports aquatics, supports food. When other towns are closing facilities, you all make sure we have the money and we keep them open for the residents of Plainfield. Like back then, it was a harder task. The first I'm gonna recognize is Brother Judkins. Brother Judkins is 100 years old. He'll be 100. In 1968, Brother Judkins served on what was then called the Common Council. It was 11 members. It's now called City Council. He was one of the members then. And it is due to a 28-cent increase in the Parks and Recreation budget, 28% increase in the Parks and Recreation budget that allowed that the in-ground pool at Hammond Atkins to be installed and two above-ground pools at Sidler and Rushmore Field. They became in-ground pools in 1972. So for the 56th anniversary of the opening of the Plainfield Avenue pool, whereas the Hannah Atkins pool was open, whereas the Hannah Atkins pool opened July 20th, 1968, and community leaders facilitated the transition of resources to benefit all residents of Plainfield, and whereas community organizations such as the Common Council, Plainfield NAACP, and Youth for Action Movement and Urban Coalition work to ensure an equitable distribution of recreational resources throughout the city, and whereas leaders such as Harvey Judkins, Common Council member, and Linward Cathcart Sr., also known as Brother Kareem, President, Youth for Action Movement, were instrumental in securing this beneficial resource, and therefore now be it proclaimed that I, Mayor Adrian O'Mapp, the City of Plainfield, acknowledge and honor Harvey Judkins and Linwood Cathcart Sr., Brother Kareem, for their passionate commitment to the advancement of recreational opportunities for the City of Plainfield. Again, this was hard work back then. You know the history, you know the fight that occurred in 1967, and we worked to preserve it. Brother Judkins is still in the fight, still working all these years to support Plainfield and make sure the services he worked so hard to secure from that hard battle from 1967 still are here. So I believe in recognizing people while they're living and while they're here. So we're gonna give him his roses and everything we can right now and say thank you, Brother Harvey Judkins, for the hard work that you did. If you don't mind, since mobility is an issue, I'm thinking that, okay. We'll have some comments from Brother Judkins, and we'll take some photos, and we have the family here. While Mr. Cathcart could not join us tonight, his family members are here, and I have to tell you about Mr. Cathcart. He supported me all throughout my career. While I worked at the Plainfield YMCA, when I was a school board member, when people came for me, Brother Cathcart was there and reminded me to keep my head up and stay strong, because we are all together in this fight for humanity. And if you know anything about Mr. Cathcart, he still talks community. If you stop and see him anywhere, he is always talking about how to bring people together. And he's the one who years ago told me about this money that was going to sit back to the government if we didn't make a decision and put this pool there. And you know who doesn't have an in-ground pool that's free to the community? South Plainfield, North Plainfield, Denellen, all these other towns that may or may not want to be associated with us a number of ways, but we have it here in Plainfield. It's because of the work of these men right here, these elders in this community that we respect and want to honor. So to you both, I'd like to have the families come up, and Mr. Judkins, Brother Judkins, if you'd like to say something, and then Lenny, if you'd like to say something on behalf of your family. And then I also want to recognize the brothers that came out from Stone Square Lodge number 38. Yes. When the call went out, they answered. So thank you so much for being here to support the brother, Judkins. Yes, and we do want to recognize Councilman Wyatt as the member.
The brothers can come up and stand with us, and the family. Lillian.
And then any comments from Brother Judkins, and then we can take some photos.
Harvey, did you want to say something?
I appreciate it so much. I'm sorry that Brother Abdul couldn't be, because he deserves a whole lot of credit. He worked really hard, and you'd be surprised the things that happened at that time. And he was right there at the forefront all the way, and I mean all the way. It was a hell of a situation, believe me. And this town's still in a hell of a situation.
Here, you can hold it.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yes, I forgot, Director Abney, is a member. North Carolina 38. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Brother James. And Lenny, did you want to say anything on behalf? Yep.
Good evening, good evening. Okay, thank you so much. I know my father was here. Well, he's very proud of this. I was 9 and 10 years old when this happened. And as Ms. Teller mentioned earlier, first of all, thank you. Thank y'all so much for doing this. I was 9 and 10. As Ms. Teller mentioned earlier, there were 11 council people, but only one stood up with my dad when my dad wanted it at Plainfield Avenue. That was Mr. Judkins. All the other council members and mayor backed down. But my father and his group, YAM Youth Action Movement, would not stop until this was done right here in Plainfield Avenue. So in all of his doings in Plainfield, and he has done a lot, I think, and I know, this is one of the most proudest thing that he did because he knew what he was doing and why he was doing it. So a lot of you are new here to Plainfield, don't know my dad. I'm not like my dad. I'm more of a, how y'all doing, blah, blah, blah. My dad was the kind of man that's gonna get it done. When he said that's what he wanted, it was gonna happen. And he was gonna make it happen by any means necessary. All right? And Mr. Judkins, I'm so honored to be here with you because like I said, as a kid, I was always on my dad's shoulder. And I remember you and the things that you and my dad was talk at the house, and he come to your place on 4th Street. So, sir, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ms. Taylor, this means a lot. This really means a lot, because I knew my dad always talked about not being recognized for this. Now, I worked with Ms. Taylor, so I never brought this up to her to do this for my dad. So this means truly a whole lot to him, and that means it means a lot to me. And thank you so much. And I'll be late to work tomorrow.
If I may take 1 minute of your time, I want to thank Ms. Taylor as well, because I stood here about a month ago in the same sense of swimming. Most of you know my daughter who lost her son. He was 3 years old. He drowned in our backyard. And to just stand here again on this swimming thing of teaching our children to swim, Ms. Taylor, Parks and Recreation, City of Plainfield, we thank you. We still have to push to put our babies and our adults in the water to learn to swim. And for you to take the initiative to keep pushing this as the Director of Recreation, we thank you. And I want to thank you personally amongst this council for the work that you do as well. And thank you for the City of Plainfield for allowing this to just honor the 2 members of council back then and for pushing swimming. A lot of people don't know that these other cities have to pay, and in Plainfield, we don't have to pay. Ms. Sessoms, when I saw your post on Facebook
Saw it.
that you was at Siler Field, that touched my heart. I'm like, what? The councilwoman is at a pool swimming?
With a daughter.
That touched my heart. That was beautiful. That you was out there. You're not just out here sitting at this meeting. You out there. That touched my heart. And when you were standing over there, I personally don't know you. I wanted to walk over and say, I want to know you, because that touched my heart. Thank you.
All right. Hard to start a meeting after that. Yeah, goodness gracious. In all my feelings right now. I have to admit that. But, we are really proud of our Recreation Department and all that you're doing, Director Taylor. Wonderful job. We can tell you've been outside because you are a couple shades darker right now. So, thank you for all the work that you do. And thank you, Mr. Judkins. Have a safe trip home. Mr. Cathcart.
Stone Square Live.
Yeah, Stone Square Lodge is in the building. The brothers are coming out. Lenny, your father certainly was a man amongst giants, and not just in Plainfield, nationwide. I've certainly heard the stories of who would come here, and your father had full command of the situation. And it's an amazing thing to hear, and it's something that, again, makes you Plainfield proud. So, thank you all. Where are we on this agenda? What are we doing? Are we at the business administrator items? No, we're not there yet. Let's see. Consideration of public hearing, second reading and final passage. All right, we have ordinances which are scheduled for public hearing and final passage. MC 2024-34, 2024-38. We also have legislative body items, R281-24 through R289-24. We have consensus to add these items to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions or abstentions? Okay.
We were on these separate.
You want to vote on, you want to bring it? Okay.
Councilman, these are only to add them to the voting meeting. Councilman Wyatt.
There's not voting?
No, they don't need to be read individually. I think that was the question.
Okay.
The ordinances already go for public hearing, second reading and final passage.
Got it. All right, so we'll move to the mayor's business administrator items. Okay, would the BA please present their items?
Yes, thank you, Council President. I have 6 resolutions on for you this evening. The first one is an amendment to the resolution we passed last month for Angela Davis to the Shade Tree Commission. This is really a clerical amendment. Her term will conclude at the end of 2027, not 28, and she's succeeding someone different than was originally stated. Then I have a resolution, also another amendment. This is amending the MOA that you guys approved maybe a year ago at this point. The PMEA, the Plainfield Municipal Employees Association, this is their MOA, which is going to eventually be their contract. They had originally you had approved 10.5% over 4 years. It was 1.5% in the final year. The mayor and I have agreed with them to bring them up to 11.5%, which would make their 1.5 a 2.5 next year. Since they settled, then the FOA went to arbitration, the FMBA have settled, and they've all settled at 11.5%. So this will just make it more equitable. That's the only change in that MOA. Everything else remains the same. It's just that 4th year. Then I have a resolution of intent to join a HIF. This is non-binding. As you know, health insurance, we're constantly seeking alternatives for health insurance that will save us some money. There is going to be a new HIF started, and we were approached to be one of the founding members. In case this comes up, the other HIF that the school board is a part of, they already gave back to us with an 11% increase, so hopefully this one is going to be less than that. But this is a brand new HIF, and we have to pass an intent resolution. It's not binding, like I said, so they haven't even come to me with numbers yet, and when they do, obviously, I'll let you know. But this is just the first step for that. Then we have a resolution to submit an application for the Madison Ave Skate Park for $100,000 for some repairs there. We have the resolution that matches the presentation for the 56th anniversary of the Plainfield Ave Pool, and we have our annual resolution for National Night Out for the street encroachment and council support.
Okay. With respect to the HIF, is there any benefits from being a founder member regarding coming in later?
Well, the main benefit that we would want is a decreased rate. One benefit that I've found so far is that I've had preliminary conversations with them, and we're able to craft a little bit of the plan. So we know what plan we want because we have to provide equal to or better than insurance for our employees. But there was, for example, somebody that the mayor had met at a conference who had a meeting with me about one of their savings ideas, and the HIF wasn't aware of that. So because they haven't actually been found yet, I was able to discuss that with them, and they're actually going to reach out to that person. So maybe they'll implement that. So we have the ability to craft some of what they're doing.
Okay. And I know you mentioned that we are in a HIF with the school board on this. Does the school board have the option to join us on this one?
Well, we're not in this HIF with the school board. So
Okay.
the school board is in a different HIF, and it's been brought up before, like, could the city join the one that the school board
okay.
is part of?
Gotcha.
But we've shopped our claims experience to them as recently as last month, and they came back with an 11% increase from the 2024 rates. So it's not ideal, but we'll see what other options we have.
Council members have questions? Councilman Wyatt?
Yes. Thank you. I know that we did speak about the HIF a few months ago. So you said we're one of the founding members. How many other municipalities are founding this HIF here?
So it's not municipalities founding it, it's Acrisure, Reliance, and they've invited 4 municipalities to start. I don't know if those municipalities are going to pass this intent resolution. So I know that they're reaching out to 4. One of them is Hackensack, which you'll see on the resolution. The other 2 they wouldn't share with me, and I don't know that Hackensack is going to pass this and eventually go with them, because again, they haven't given us rates yet. So I don't know who will eventually be in it.
Okay, just one more question. So we are with the state currently, correct?
Yes.
So if we leave the state, which the HIF I'm pretty sure would be better rates, is it true that we can no longer go back with the state?
There's a time period where we can't go back. The bigger issue about leaving the state is that we are on a premium delay. So, and I think I might have talked about this before, that we're 1 month behind. So whatever year we leave the state, we'll have that extra month, we'll have a 13 months of premiums in 12 months. So that's really what's hard about leaving the state. That's the hardest thing.
Okay, but we won, so you said there's just a time frame where we couldn't go back into
Yeah, I believe
contract
you
with the
can't go
state.
back within 2 years.
2 years,
But
okay.
hopefully the rates would be consistent enough for 2 years that we wouldn't need to go back.
Okay, all right. Thank you for this information.
No problem.
Any other
Yeah.
council members?
What are the rates with the state?
What do you mean, what are the rates?
Rates?
The HIF rates?
And it's 11% with,
The school board HIF is 11% higher than us.
Okay.
The HIF that we're talking about today, like I said before, hasn't given us the rates. This is just an intent resolution that we would have to pass to get rates from them. And then once I have the rates from everybody, we would see what our options are.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions from council members? I think that's it. Okay, do we have consensus to add these items to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, this will be added to the voting meeting. Department of Finance, go right ahead. The floor is yours.
Good evening, all. I have 10 resolutions for your approval. Does anyone have any questions on any of them?
I have one question.
Go right ahead, Councilwoman.
R 296-24 Just more of a curiosity. It's a 14-month term. Is that typical versus the 12-month term?
No, that's not typical, but this was a 3-year contract with with the ability to add 2 additional years. So we didn't renew it. We didn't renew it when it should have been renewed. So 14 months are left. So we were going to add the 24 months in any case. So now we're adding just the 14 months that are left. That would take us to the end of the contract.
And that will be the end of our potential to renew.
And
Again, we won't be able to renew after that.
we can renew after that. But that was the original, how the original contract was structured.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, further questions? Okay, do we have consent to add these to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Okay, any opposition or abstentions? All right. Next, the Police Department. Director, how are you?
Good evening, Council President. Council, I have 2 resolutions for your consideration. 30624 is a resolution for a 1-year contract renewal, amount of $22,000 for maintenance of the 911 system with Procom Systems. 30724 is the purchase of 2 unmanned aerial systems in an amount not to exceed $30,362.22 from Terrestrial Imaging, and that's all I have.
Questions from council members?
Yes, regarding the unmanned aerial system, those
Yes.
are drones, right?
Yes, sir.
And how would the drones help the police department? Give me a few examples.
Well, I currently have a drone unit now. We use them for all types of things. We can use them for searches for lost children or elderly persons in the community. We can use them for various other things. There's a lot of things that fall under this. That's one of the big things that we wanted to talk about, search and rescue, possible investigations, but that's the main things that we're using them for now.
Sure.
At some point, some towns are using them to answer some mundane calls for service. Instead of having to send out a police car, we could work that into a system that we're looking to integrate. We're not there yet, but that's the long game for what we're trying to do, just to make us more effective.
Sure, thank you.
Anybody else? Drones seem to be, relatively new technology in deploying that. Exciting even. Is there a clamoring in your department for officers who want to get involved with it, or is it, just those who have a niche that decide they want to operate drones?
Well, it's like anything else. When it's new, it's a change. Sometimes people are slow to get on board with it, but with so many new young officers, the clamoring for technology is there. So they definitely see the benefits of it. A lot of departments are going in this direction, especially larger departments. So, we want to be at the forefront as always.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite interesting. The controllers with these resemble video game controllers in a sense. So, there's generations who already have the knowledge of, how they operate, and somewhat have an advantage in operating these things for the safety of our community. So, thank you for your presentation. Do we have consensus to add these? You get a question?
Yeah, Director Abney, you said you currently have some unmanned. How many do you currently have?
2.
So tell me what the need for 2 more.
I'm trying to expand our footprint. I'll use them to patrol different areas during events such as National Night Out, the parade, other things. I just want to give us more coverage of what could potentially go wrong or what is going on in crowds or different situations, so that, like I said, our footprint is larger. I can't put a cop everywhere, but with drones, I can move them more efficiently throughout the city.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have consensus to add these items to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Any oppositions or abstentions? Okay, thank you. We'll add these items. Economic Development Director Fields, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Council. I have resolutions 308 through 311.
The first resolution is to return a maintenance bond. The construction is complete on 322 to 324 West Front Street. This is to return a maintenance bond of a little over $2,700. The second resolution is to designate a developer for 953 to 955 West 4th Street. This is for an apartment building. This would be 8 units, 8 parking spaces. The third resolution is to amend a redevelopment agreement for 611 West Front Street. This is an older development, but they're revising the project scope, reducing the amount of commercial space. The fourth resolution is to designate a developer for 306 Watchon Avenue. This is going to be a 5-story mixed-use building with approximately 2,800 feet of commercial space. It's going to be a total of 55 residential units, 6 of which will be affordable. And that concludes my items.
Questions from council members?
Yes. Item number 30924, the 953, 955 West 4th Street. I'm totally against more apartments, and especially in my area. The parking is horrendous on West 4th Street. I live on West 4th Street, been there only 40-something years, and I just don't agree with that. What I would like to see is more homeowners here. I'm a little, disgruntled when I see people come here buying houses and they go back up to Watchon, Summit, Chatham, Morristown. They go wherever they are, they live, and then what happens here? We have to put up with all this and these slumlords and all this other stuff and not cleaning up, and it's constant. I have a driveway, yes I do, but it's just that on 4th Street, you cannot even find a parking. It's ridiculous, and I'm just a little disgruntled about more apartments, not on the West End. We don't need any more. We need more homeowners. I would like to see the city reach out, get some type of program. Yes, I would like to piggyback of what they're doing in Newark. Dollar houses, let's go back to that. We actually started the dollar houses years ago, when I was in politics, of course, since I was 13. But we had dollar houses because I know somebody personally, 2 people that bought the dollar houses, and they still have them. And so I just want to put that out there because I'm definitely totally against 30924 and probably 310 as well.
Any other council members?
Yeah, Director Fields, can you provide like a plan as to what development looks like in the 4th Ward? Because that's a question that I get a lot from my constituents. And I know that we have a lot of development happening along the railroad. So could you kind of like give us like a visual?
Sure. So in addition to the mixed-use development, we also have the Western Industrial Development to look at a technology corridor, but we are actually working on condos, townhomes, and a home ownership plan. So we're looking at some of the vacant and abandoned property that Director Brown's oversees. And we're going to be working with the developer it's going to be a scattered site redevelopment plan, but it is going to focus on affordable home ownership.
How many units, how many homes are we looking at?
So if we include the apartments, it's hundreds. If we're looking at the single home ownerships, we're looking at close to about 75 that's going to be there between the townhomes and the condos that'll be available for purchase, as well as the single family homes.
Thank you, and we're looking at what time frame?
So right now, some of the redevelopment plans studies that you've already approved. So there was approval of something that was on Lee Place, if you recall. It was 614 Lee Place. That's going to be a townhome, so that should come to you for designation by the end of the year. We should also bring the designation for another looking at a multifamily, but it will be available for condo ownership as well, and we'll start the study for the single-family homes.
Thank you.
Other council members?
Council President, 31124, Madam Director, can you talk a little bit about the parking, please?
Sure. So this is for a 55-unit apartment building. There's a total of 34 spaces available. So this is right next to Plainfield train station. So anything that we have that's within a half a mile of the train station, the units and the parking requirements are 0.8 to the unit. It's also different when you have live workspaces. These are a part of our Cleveland Arts District. So they have live work studios in there, and that requirement for the parking is 0.5. So 20 units require 0.8. And there's a total of 35 units that require 0.5, bringing the total parking spaces and requirements to 34.
But did I hear you correctly? There's going to be 55 units?
Yes.
With only 34 parking spaces?
Right, so it's not one parking space per unit.
Director Phil, could you explain that?
So there's a total of 55 units. So 20 of those units have a requirement of 0.8 parking spaces per unit. 35 of those units have a requirement of 0.5.
And
Can I ask a quick question? Will this developer need to go before the zoning board for a parking variance?
No,
It will not.
anything that comes out to redevelopment only goes to the planning board.
Sure.
So there's no variance that's required here right now.
Okay.
are these one-bedroom or two-bedroom?
These are a combination of studio, one-bedroom, and two-bedroom.
Just explain that, the rationale and how they get that half a parking spot and the 0.8. I know it's a calculation and a designation of sorts. Can you name that?
Sure. So the calculation is that it's a live workspace, so you're not driving, and also because you're right by the train station.
Mm-hmm.
Most urban environments where they're by a transit-oriented development require 0.5, a half a mile out, because you're looking at people are not owning a car because they're living and working at the same place.
Understood. Understood. Any other council members chime in on any of these?
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
So with our other developments, is that the same rationale? Like, and has that been like the same pattern?
So the pattern, if it's near a transit-oriented development within a half a mile, it is 0.8. If it's further than a half a mile away from the train station, it goes 1-to-1.
Okay, so if it's near a train and you in the 900 block of West 4th Street, you have to catch the train in Dunellen. You can't catch it on West 4th, nowhere. Nowhere. You can't catch it nowhere. It goes from North Avenue, and then the next stop is Dunellen. So how is that? The math is not mathing.
So the 953 to 955 is 1-to-1. So there's 8 apartment units, 8 parking spaces.
All right. Well, the West End don't need to be crowded anymore. There's too many people down there. We need to get some homeowners. That's where I'm at with this. We need to revisit this.
Yep, so, I also agree with home ownership. I mean, I think that we need to encourage that as a city. I'm not sure I'm willing to take it out on any particular developer, however, but because I do note that this particular location is an eyesore, and it has been it really looks, it's been abandoned probably for 15 or 20 years. So I think that area being developed is something that is welcome, you know, so that's the reason why I'm going to support it. Again, it is a one-to-one parking that they're going to honor. But, you know, as these projects continue to spring up in in all wards, really, wherever appropriate, or whenever possible, I should say, certainly want to encourage home ownership in Plainfield, you know, so that people can, you know, this is a city that's coming up, and in order for the common folk to be able to join that train that's moving forward, they have to be able to own, not just rent. So, you know, always looking for that. But, you know, I know that this is an issue that is happening in every single city. You know, I'm watching development in other cities, particularly Newark, and all those developers are developing apartments rather than condos, and you know, you can barely find opportunities where home ownership is a part of any major development, and it's really a state problem because the state is just not providing financial incentives for developers to do it, and developers are just truthfully really after, you know, their bottom dollar. And if it doesn't make sense, then they're just not going to build it. You know, they'll just leave our neighborhoods undeveloped if it doesn't make financial sense for them. So we need to also keep pressure on our legislators to make sure that they're passing legislation or changing laws, providing tax incentives, changing the financial structure really as a state for development to make sure that people can own rather than have apartments. Is something that we need, you know. So, and that's really the reason why that I would support 953 is because I know that, you know, that this is current. This is the climate where this is what works for developers, and it does need to change. But this is the law how we have it now, and these are the incentives that the state are giving. So I don't want to take it out on any particular owner that's just seeking to help develop our neighborhood. We have questions from other council on this?
I have one more.
Go ahead.
How many workforce-ready units will there be?
So in which one are you talking about specifically? 309-24? So in the 309-24, it's possible that this will be 100% affordable. This is a smaller developer, so they have to their financial agreement to identify it.
That's good news. Thank you.
Did anybody do a study also as well, the density in the fourth ward?
So we are aware of looking at the density of each individual, but we can get back to you. It's going to be the population per city block, and we can let you know.
Okay, we have consensus to add these items to the voting meeting?
Yes.
One more question, Council President.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was 311-24. You said it was 55 units and 34 parking spaces, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I know that we talked about a study in the past, and it was kind of the information, the data was saying that people are moving away from buying vehicles. I don't see that we have many, I don't know if everybody remembers Bill Nearstead, but I don't see too many Bill Nearsteads riding bikes to work, putting their bike on the train. And I know we also talked about the safe streets, so having bike lanes, those type of things. So where are we at with those items?
Right. So we have looked at a complete street study where we look at all of our modes, where it's not just vehicular traffic, but you also are looking at pedestrian traffic. We are also looking in investing into a shuttle service that would service the 6 Mile area of the city, so to get more people off of traffic. We will be supporting rideshare as well when we install our EV vehicle and allowing bonuses in terms of parking. So this is a part of both our complete street study. It's a part of our mobility plan as well as our sustainability plan, because you want people out of single occupancy vehicles.
Okay, no, I definitely understand that. It's just one thing being out in the community and you hear the cries that too many cars on the road, there's not enough parking, parking on both sides of the streets. We have passed some ordinances getting rid of that. But then to build more apartments and not have a minimum of one for each unit, I don't know, I just don't see how that's beneficial for the city. I know it benefits the developer, I just don't see how it benefits the city. That's it, thank you.
Okay, can the council members name the items that they wish to take off the consent? Oh, go ahead.
Just one more thing. I just, and as, you know, as we start thinking about development, if we could start thinking about senior housing as well. I know we have workforce ready, but I think senior housing is equally as important.
Sure. We have a 120 unit senior housing that's going where we have municipal lot 8. We have that will be coming to you soon. We're working through the agreement, another 50 unit, all senior affordable housing unit. And there's another senior housing complex coming soon too.
Thank you.
I can't present it until I'm in agreement with the developer.
Thank you.
Yes,
The mayor is on hybrid and he would like to speak.
okay.
Well, good evening, Council President and members of the governing body. I apologize for not being able to be there in person, but I wanted to weigh in on the conversation that you're having relative to these projects that were presented by Director Fields. And I applaud the councillor from the 4th Ward who is interested in home ownership. I think we are all interested in home ownership and would love to see more of that in this city and across these, municipalities in the state. I think that if we look at the need for housing in Plainfield and in the state of New Jersey, I don't think that if we are paying attention that we could deny the fact that there is a significant need for more housing units. And although the call for homeownership is one that we applaud, we still have to face the realities of the environment in which we are operating in, namely financial institutions. If you take a look from Union County's west end, which is Plainfield, to the eastern end, which is Elizabeth, and if you go beyond into Essex County and Morris and Hudson, you will see that Plainfield is no different. Plainfield is providing the housing choices that financial institutions will support and will finance, and that the state will provide incentives. And so although it is ideal to encourage homeownership, we must be guided by the reality. And I am sure that the councillor from the 4th Ward would not want to see blight continue to exist in certain parts of the 4th Ward. And so our goal, my goal as the administration's leader, as the mayor, is to continue to develop in every ward of this city. And I will encourage any council member to bring to the administration developers and redevelopers who they have identified who would be interested in building single unit homes or two-family homes, if you can identify, because it's not only the responsibility of the administration, it's the responsibility of every elected officials, 7+1, to bring economic redevelopment to this city. And I encourage you to do that, identify prospective developers interested in building single-family homes, those developers that are able to get the financing, bring them forward to us. Zenobia Fields, the director, and I, the council president, any of us, either separately or together, would sit down with those developers that you have identified and bring to the table to help us build single-family housing units. In the absence of that, I would ask for your support to continue transforming the city with economic redevelopment projects across the entire city in all 4 wards. And I thank you, Mr. Council President.
You're certainly welcome. Okay. I think that was a fine way to conclude the conversation. I'm going to look again because, all right. So if council members wish to remove anything from the agenda, state those names and we will. And anything wish to be removed from the consent agenda?
Council President, do we want to go one by one and first determine whether it has consensus to go on the agenda and then determine whether it's consent or not?
It's always good to take the advice of your clerk, so let's do it.
308,
Yep. So we got
starting with 308.
308. Do we have consensus for 308?
Dash 24, yes.
Any oppositions or abstentions?
So
Okay.
that will be on consent.
Okay. For 309?
No.
Would you like a roll call?
Yes, roll call, please.
Council members Briggs Jones,
No.
Councilwoman Cherry,
Yes.
Councilman McCray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sessoms,
Yes.
Councilman Wyatt,
No.
Vice President Graham,
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed,
3010?
and this will be,
310?
310 will not be on the consent agenda. I'm sorry, 309 will not be on the consent agenda.
310? Do we have consensus for 310?
No.
Can I have a roll call on 310?
Council President, if I may, if there's one person who says that there's no consensus, there's no need for a roll call. It's really not.
Okay. So 310's pulled because we have a no. What about 311? Do we have consensus?
We have to determine whether it's going on the agenda, then it automatically gets removed from the non-consent agenda. We're determining right now if these items are going on the agenda in the first place.
Okay.
Okay, so it's go. Do we have consensus to put it on the voting meeting? We have one no. There's not consensus, but it is going on the consent agenda.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Roll call on 310. Council members Briggs Jones,
No.
Cherry,
Yes.
McCray,
Yes.
Sessoms,
Yes.
Wyatt,
No.
Vice President Graham,
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed. This will be placed on the agenda as a non-consent item.
Okay, now 311. We have consensus to add 311 to the voting meeting?
No.
Roll call, please.
Council members Briggs Jones,
No.
Cherry,
Yes.
McCray,
Yes.
Sessoms,
Yes.
Wyatt,
No.
Vice President Graham,
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
311 will be added to the voting meeting agenda, non-consent.
Okay, will the Department of Public Works present your items? Good evening, Director.
Good evening, Mr. Council President, members of the council. The Department of Public Works has 10 resolutions to present. Resolution R31224, award and professional service contract for Maloney Associates for the City Hall parking lot, professional services, in a total amount not to exceed $38,000. Resolution 31324, resolution authorizing award of a professional service contract for Noni for first place and second place, road resurface improvements for $48,000. Resolution 314, authorizing the award of professional service contract to Minton and Vernick Engineers. This is for the completely inclusive playground at Rushmore Playground, the aquatics playground. Resolution 315, resolution authorizing the final payment, acceptance 2-year maintenance bond for $10,915. This is Felly and Sons. Resolution 316, resolution authorizing change order 1, final payment for $72,100 for East 3rd Street. This is to, for $72,100. Resolution 317, resolution authorizing change order 2, Remington and Vernick. This is for recreational complex in the total amount of $8,126 for change order. Resolution 318 is resolution settlement grant application for Bellevue Avenue and Bellevue Court road improvements. And this is through the New Jersey Department of Transportation. Resolution 319 is authorizing approval to submit a grant application of the New Jersey Department of Transportation for Front Street streetscaping, which is for sidewalk improvements along the downtown area. And Resolution 320 is 12 cleaning liens totaling $9,047.72. And 321 is for moratorium for roads that we've done with the gas main upgrades in the city of Plainfield for public service. Any questions?
I have a question. For 319-24, where does that start and where does that end on Front Street?
Well, that's a good question. So it was like the second whereas in the resolution. It's like 321-24, you said? Which one was that?
319-24, the Front Street scape,
Okay, that's Watchung and Roosevelt Avenue sidewalks
Roosevelt Avenue, Watchung Avenue. Okay,
between that area.
yep. Thank you.
That's it. Anybody
Yeah,
else?
That's it for me.
A question regarding R 320-24, these lien placements. I'm just curious, how many of these property owners are repeat offenders? And is there a next level that we can take this to? I mean, your staff have way better things to do other than go and cut people's grass. People need to be responsible homeowners. So, you know, after the third and fourth time, is there another level that we can take this to legally?
Unfortunately, it's not, other than the code, the municipal code that we have to follow. And plus, when we do write them up, it's for an entire year that, we have to go back and just go check it, clean and lean it. That's all we can do right now at this time. Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Your department's pretty busy. It's always good to see these items. It shows that, the work is in progress, especially relative to the demolition being complete over at Rushmore. I'd like to drive by there and see all the progress that's going on. So, seem to be relatively on schedule over there?
So far, everything's going pretty well, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Dabney, for what you do.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have consensus to add these items to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, these should be added. The Department of Health and Social Services.
Good evening, Council President. I have two resolutions for tonight. Resolution R322-24 is a resolution recognizing July 27th, 2024 as Arts and Health Day. We are in collaboration with the National League of Cities. There'll be two events planned, not only for the 27th, but as well as the 26th, which is Jazz on Park and the Arts Festival, which will be held on the 27th. Resolution 323-24 is a resolution authorizing the award of professional service contract to Comprehensive Medical Nutrition Solutions. They do our public health education. Any questions?
Questions?
Yes, I do. For R 323-24, how do these services presented, or how will these services be presented to the community? Will they be via Plainfield Action Services? Will they be
Right. So these are services, and we've been doing this for years, and I've presented this particular company before us. They're really the only ones that do this kind of work. They are out of the health division, not Plainfield Action Services, and they do all kinds of education. They're in the schools, they're in the health senior center, wherever we need public education. And it's not just, it's also topical, right? So if there's a topic, particularly like the pandemic or anything to do with that, they provide education in bilingual languages, in multiple languages. And so that's what they do. We are mandated to have public educators, and so this serves that for us.
Thank you. These services are definitely needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have consensus to add these to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, those should be added. Department of Communication and Technology. Who's handing that for?
Hi.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so Director Clayton Hunt couldn't be with us today, so I will speak on this. This is a resolution awarding a contract to Comcast. We are going to do another Plainfield commercial. It'll be run both digitally and on TV, and it's in the amount of $70,000. It's paid for by the UEZ.
Okay, that's it. Questions?
Is this new? Have we done this before?
We have done this before. Yeah, we've done commercials before.
Have you already, has the commercial been filmed already?
This one, no. Obviously, the previous ones, yes, because they were on.
Anything else?
Yes. What metrics are we using in place to gauge what our return on investment will be?
I don't have the metrics in front of me from the last commercial, like how many views, et cetera, but I'm sure that Communications and IT has that, so they could email that to you.
Okay. And the purpose, do we have a target market? Like, what is the purpose of the commercial?
The target market is to bring people into Plainfield, not to live, of course, but also to eat, to shop, to use our restaurants. It's mostly related to those types of things, to come here to eat, come here to shop, use our downtown.
Is it in other languages other than English?
I believe it's only being run in English. Digitally, it might be in 2 languages. I'll find out.
Okay, do we have consensus to add this to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, this should be added. Department of Sewer and Solid Waste.
Good evening, Council President,
Good evening.
Council. I have 2 resolutions for your consideration tonight. R-325. It's a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Advanced Scale, an amount not to exceed $251,964. That's replace the existing scale at the transfer station, which is the original scale and requires a lot of maintenance. R-326 is a resolution to purchase 1 new Mack Granite cab. This is not to exceed $238,331, and this is to enhance our container services.
Questions from council members?
Yes, 225-24. Director, if we make this investment, can you project how long would this buy us, so to speak? You referenced that this is the original scale, so what is that, like 80 years?
Scales generally, from what I understand, it's about 15 to 20 years is maximum. The issue we have here is that we have a large volume of going across that scale, so that, of course, reduces the amount of the life. But we're looking to get at least 20 to 25 years out of this one.
Thank you, sir.
Director, can you just give us a sense, these investments that we would have likely had to take even under the former Plainfield Municipal Utilities Authority?
I'm sorry, could you
Are
repeat
these
that?
investments that we'd have probably had to take even with the prior utility authority that we had before we dissolved it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, do we have consensus to add these to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, added to the voting meeting. All right, we move now to ordinance on introduction of ordinance on first reading. Can you read MC 2024-39 by title? Let's see. Hold on, let me see where I am.
Would you like me to present them?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please present those items.
Okay. The first ordinance earlier matches one of the resolutions I talked about earlier, which was the MOA with the PMEA. So the MOA changed the last year of their contract to 2.5%. They also have a salary ordinance that spells out all the titles that fall within that union and their ranges, their salary ranges. We are adding new titles into their contract. Doesn't necessarily mean we're filling those titles, but we're adding them so that there's really more upward trajectory for people in like clerk titles, et cetera. And some of the titles are also, we're changing what grade they are, so what their payment range is. You'll see that spelled out in the ordinance once you start getting to the 2024 year. Then we have an ordinance for a four-way stop at Rushmore and West 3rd. We have 5 economic development-related ordinances. 2 of them are related to sale of small amounts of land, and 2 of them are related to financial agreements, one for a sports complex that we're super excited about, and one for a 46-unit building. And then there's also the last ordinance amending the commercial space in one of the previously approved agreements.
Okay. Questions from council members? Okay, do we have consensus to add these items to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Question.
Oh, go right ahead, Councilwoman.
On MC 2024-39, I know you said there was a change in titles. Is there a change in skill set? In other words, did somebody go to school, or is there, what
It's
happened?
an addition of titles. So we're a civil service municipality. We can only use civil service titles. They have let's say they have 500 titles. In the union, we only right now have maybe 40 or 50. So we're adding another, let's say 15 or 20 from that civil service bucket.
Okay. All right.
Some of them do require certifications or schooling, some of them don't.
Okay. I was just wondering if it was a skill set, and then how much money will they receive also as well? How much of an increase?
So if you look at the 2024 where they're added, they're bolded when they're added, and then you'll see the range that they're added in. There's many of them. So if you look at the ordinance, it will show you the title, that the bolded titles are what's being added, and the salary is right next to them, the range.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
MC 2024-44. So this is the warehouse and the sports complex, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So for the community, do we have in writing that if you are a citizen in Plainfield, that you will either be able to go free to the sports complex? Is there any type of discounted rate? Did we discuss those things?
The operations agreement hasn't been negotiated yet because we haven't finalized the operator. Was it loud enough? But once we're still working out that agreement with the operator, it'll be separate from the owner of the building. So similar to something like Chelsea Piers, for example, you have a different agreement with the operator. So something similar to a recreation center, you have a different agreement with the operator of the center.
Okay, we didn't start those
No.
negotiations. Okay. All right.
Okay. You have consensus to add this to the voting meeting?
Yes.
Any opposition or abstentions?
Yes. MC 2024-43 through 45. So 43, 44, and 45.
So each one?
Yes.
Okay. So we just want to add those to the regular meeting, not the consent agenda. But
Yeah, there's not a consent agenda for the first reading ordinances, so as long as there's 4 members who agree to put it on,
Okay.
it's on.
So let's just have a roll call.
Can you
Well,
explain that
there
a
was
little
just
more
one that-
also as well, that MC 2024-43? Can you explain that to me, please, just for the record? That ordinance?
So this is 1123 to 1125 West 7th Street. This is a 46-unit apartment building. They have 5 affordable units and a total of 46 parking spaces. And in terms of the financial agreement, it's a 30-year pilot, and the city will receive 10% of the revenue going out to the first 15 years, and then it will receive 11% of the revenue going out for year 16 to 20, and then moving on to 12%. 16 to 25, and then on to 12%, years 26 to 30.
Okay. So just curious, it's just a curious question, because again, I'm still in the learning stage every day. You said the first 10 years or first 15 years. Can a developer change hands? And is it legal?
So anytime there's a change in hands in the ownership of the LLC, if it's over a certain percent, if it's 10%, it has to come back to council for approval.
Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, so I heard at least one dissenting council member. Were there any others? I think other than that, we have at least a majority, so we can go with that. All right. All right, so we'll take a 5-minute recess and come back and conclude the remainder of our business. Okay,
Recording in progress.
we will resume the council's business. We're going to move to consideration of public hearing, second reading, and final passage. Madam Deputy, please read MC 2024-34 by title and further certify that it has complied with all statutory publication requirements.
MC 2024-34 is an ordinance for a four-way stop intersection at West 6th Street and Lee Place to amend and supplement Chapter 16, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 7, through streets, stop intersections, stop and yield intersections, designating certain four-way stop and three-way stop intersections. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on June 12, 2024.
Okay, the floor is now open for any member of the public who wishes to speak on this particular ordinance. Looking in our audience, also online. Information to call in online is usually displayed on the screen or on the city's website. They're seeing none and hearing none. May I have a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage?
Second.
Okay, clerk, may I have a roll call?
Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Cherry,
Yes.
McCray,
Yes.
Sessoms,
Yes.
Wyatt,
Yes.
Vice President Grimm,
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
That is unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Thank you, Madam Deputy. Will you please read MC 2024-35 by title and certify it is complied with the law?
MC 2024-35 is an ordinance authorizing the First Amendment of the financial agreement with TODD West Urban Renewal, LLC, with respect to certain property identified as Block 245, Lot 1, and Block 247, Lots 1, 2.017, a portion of 8 and 9 through 11 on the official tax map of the city. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on June 12, 2024.
Okay. Public hearing is now open for any member of the public who wishes to speak on this particular ordinance. Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing on this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Roll call MC 2024-35. Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Cherry,
Yes.
McCray,
Yes.
Sessoms,
Yes.
Wyatt,
Yes.
Vice President Grimm.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
That is unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please read the next one.
MC 2024-36 is an ordinance of the City of Plainfield, County of Union, New Jersey, adopting the TODN North Avenue redevelopment plan dated June 6, 2024. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on June 12, 2024.
Okay, the floor is now open to any member of the public who would like to be heard on this particular ordinance. Hearing and seeing none, I entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Yes.
Second.
Second.
All right, I will now entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, clerk, can I have a roll call?
Roll call MC 2024-37. Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Cherry,
Yes.
McCray,
Yes.
Sessoms,
Yes.
Wyatt,
Yes.
Vice President Grimm.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please continue.
MC 2024-37 is an ordinance of the City of Plainfield in the County of Union granting a tax exemption with respect to certain property identified on the city's tax map as Block 624, Lot 1, and designated in the city tax records as 1203-1211 South Avenue, Plainfield, New Jersey, and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with IOP Plainfield, 1203 South Urban Renewal, LLC. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on June 12, 2024.
Okay, the floor is now open to any member of the public who'd like to speak regarding this particular ordinance. Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, roll call, please.
Roll call, MC 2024-38, council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Sessoms.
Yes.
Wyatt.
No.
Vice President Graham.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Thank you. Madam Deputy, please read MC 2024-38 by title and further certify that it is complied with the law.
MC 2024-38 is an ordinance of the City of Plainfield in the County of Union creating Chapter 17, Article 9, Section 49D, titled Shade Tree Replacement and Removal, to establish an application process for the replacement and removal of shade trees. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on June 12, 2024.
Floor is now open to any member of the public who'd like to speak on this particular ordinance.
Hi.
Hi.
Marie Ann Sari, Watchung Avenue. I should know this, but what is a shade tree?
Is that your only question?
I don't know what a shade tree is. A lot of the replacement trees that have been put up are the ornamental trees, which are quite pretty. They flower, but they are not long-lived, in the span of a tree. When I think of shade tree, I think of our massive trees that if you look at old pictures, not even that old, of Plainfield streets, they're lined with gorgeous, tall, beautiful trees. So in trying to read this ordinance, I only saw reference to the fees that homeowners would pay, not necessarily the detail or who would enforce that trees are being replaced, because we really have a big problem. We're losing trees. They're not being replaced. And it's a real health hazard in addition to other things. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay, a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. May I have a
Aye.
motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Sessoms.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Graham.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
And before we conclude the meeting, can somebody indicate why the words shade tree is used in that meaning? But not now, we'll do that at the end. I just asked for someone to explain at the end of the meeting what shade tree meant. Okay? Yeah. Okay, Madam Clerk, please proceed. Let's see, where are we? Is that
We're
the
at,
last one?
Public comments limited to
Public
resolutions.
comments limited to resolutions, motions, and ordinances to be introduced on first reading. Okay, a total of 30 minutes has been allocated for public comments limited to resolutions, ordinances considered this evening. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. The Floor is now open. Name and address for the record, please.
Gloria Binkowski, Woodmere Place. So I'd like to speak on Resolution 323-24, funding for comprehensive medical nutrition solutions. I did read their information, and I was impressed kind of in a negative way that they weren't talking about details in nutrition, which is a very important part of human health. And I would like to say that it's not controversial that the medical establishment has said that a vegan diet is very important for preventing certain diseases like hypertension, heart disease, and diabetes. It may even reverse those diseases to some extent. It's not a controversial conclusion. The United Nations has a position statement saying that a vegan diet is most important for human health and health of the environment. And I would also like to add that it would help decrease the cruelty that farm animals suffer in intensive farming operations. So I see that there was just one reply to the bid, and I find that kind of depressing, and perhaps somehow the advertisement could be expanded to other publications. But in the meantime, I think if they get this contract, which I suspect they will, that you dictate to them that they have to really talk about veganism as being an important factor in human health. And they might do that by, they might dictate to some degree or make the public schools have vegan meals in their cafeterias, as well as provide vegan meals when they're providing meals for other institutions in the city of Plainfield. I think. And also, with regards to meals in schools, people celebrate diversity. They celebrate diversity in a lot of ways, and they should be celebrating diversity in terms of food that other cultures eat. And I would say that Mideast diets tend to be more plant-based, as do Asian diets. So that I think having those kinds of meals in our public schools might be a good thing for a number of different reasons. Thank you.
You're welcome. Name, address, and resolution you're speaking regarding.
Good evening. My name's Richard Luxley, 310 Hillcrest Avenue in Plainfield, and I stand in opposition to proposed ordinance 2024-43, the pilot to be granted for the redevelopment of 1123 West 7th Street. I think it would be inappropriate for the council to approve this pilot because it would be facilitating the construction of a project that's inappropriate for that neighborhood. 1123 West 7th Street is currently a single-family residential property which measures 75 feet by about 400 feet deep. That is only 0.67 acres. The project that the developer wants you to give him a $6 million tax break for is for 46 units. That works out to 72 units an acre, which is high density and inappropriate for that neighborhood. To the east and the south are primarily single-family homes. And to the west is one of the finest two-story garden apartment complexes in central New Jersey, the Pine View Gardens, which, from my estimate, probably has less than 20 units per acre. And this developer wants you to give him a $6 million tax break so he could put up 46 units on 2/3 of an acre. Just for comparison purposes, that would be like me coming before the council and asking for $1.5 million so I could tear down my house and build a 12-unit apartment building. Or it would be as if the mayor were to come and ask for a $8 million tax break so he could tear down his house and put 80 units on his property. Now, you haven't been in front of my house, and I don't think many of you have noticed what's at 1123 West 7th Street, but certainly you know where the mayor lives. And if you think that putting 80 units on a residential lot in a residential neighborhood is appropriate, well, I disagree. And I don't think this council should be funding such a project. Now, I heard a lot of talk about parking. I was on West 7th Street this afternoon. There was only one curbside parking on West 7th Street or the adjacent side streets. So if the assumptions of economic development that they'll only need one parking space per unit aren't realized and there's excess overflow parking, you're going to have a problem there. Also, I'm like President Biden, I lose my train of thought. But parking is, parking is an issue. And high density at that location is not appropriate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nancy Peavar, 1129 Myrtle Avenue. There's a number of resolutions about designating redevelopers, amending and restating agreements. Who exactly, how does the city pre-qualify these developers? And what exactly is the process and who is responsible for pre-qualification of these developers? Because that's something I don't think we only see them as residents when they come before the planning board, so we don't know what the process is and how these redevelopers are pre-qualified. Thank you.
Maria and Sari, Watchung Avenue, R30124. Just to clarify, is that one veteran who has multiple properties, or is it several veterans with several individual properties? Because I can understand an exemption in an owner-occupied home, but not someone who owns perhaps rentals or whatever. And the final one, R32424, I would love to see how this is measured and what the results are. That's all I have to say on that one.
Thank you.
Good evening. First of all, thank you, Councilwoman Briggs, for inviting me to come out and see how government is conducted in the city of Plainfield. I have been here exactly 1 year. I live in Lely Gardens. Many of you I know, because even though I've lived here 1 year, I've been in the city of Plainfield for at least about 25 years. I met a boy who was from here, married him, had his babies, the whole 9 yards. So I'm familiar with Plainfield. In fact, the first campaign that I ever contributed to was, guess whose? Mr. Hockaday. So I'm glad to see you in the position that you're in. So being new, I just have a question about R30424 and R30524. And these are resolutions authorizing residency waivers, I guess, for people who will be employed with the city of Plainfield. They might not live in the city of Plainfield. So am I to understand that we have certain positions here that are supposed to be for people who are residents of Plainfield, and if we can't find a resident to take the position, we have to get a waiver to allow somebody who does not live in the city of Plainfield to get the job? So that was number one. Number two, this is now, I'm not against this resolution, but I do have a question, and that would be resolution, this is from the police department, 307-24, and that would be the purchase of additional drones. My issue is not the drone. My issue is, what is the guarantee that the drones will be used for public things like parades or things in the park, and not used to gather information in people's private backyards or things that they're doing? How do we guarantee that people will not have their constitutional rights violated with the use of the drone? And that is my question, Police Director James. And afterward, I'm going to talk to you because I want to know if you remember me from high school back in the day. Do you remember me back in high school? I'll have to tell you who I am, and then you're going to remember who I am, James. Because I remember when you became a police officer. But it's good to see that you have ascended to another position and level, too. It's good to see you. But I remember when we were like 17 and 18 years old.
Thank you.
No, it wasn't.
Thank you.
I think he was dating my cousin, but thank you very much. And I just like
It's
to
not on the
have those two.
it's not on the resolution.
I'm a little comedian.
It's not a resolution.
But thank you.
Can we have your name for the record, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, Quanae Palmer Chambliss
Thank you,
from
Ms.
Broadway, New Jersey. Hey. All right.
Name, address, and resolution that you're
Good
speaking
evening. My name
regarding.
is Stephanie Chambers. I am a resident of 645 East 6th Street. I am not a native to Plainfield, and I'm not here to talk about any resolution that you guys spoke about this evening, but I'm in need of
Okay.
resolution. So I have had a
So I'm gonna add, we do have a generic where you can just come up and
Okay.
speak about any issue at all. So that's just gonna be in just a moment.
Great, thank you. I'll be back.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no more, I will close public comment on resolutions to be considered this evening.
There's one person.
Okay. Close it in person and.
They left, so never mind.
All right. All right, so public comments is now closed. Mr. Clerk, would you please announce the consent agenda?
Yes, Council President, the consent agenda items for this evening are identified as resolutions R-281-24 through R-308-24, R-312-24 through R-326-24. On the non-consent agenda items are resolutions 309, 310, and 311-24.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, clerk, may I have a roll call?
Roll call on the consent agenda items. Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Sessoms.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Graham.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
The consent agenda items have been approved.
Okay, please move to the non-consent items.
Move on to Resolution 309-24.
Okay, can we have a roll call?
Need a motion and a second.
A motion and a,
Second.
and a roll call.
Roll call Resolution 309-24. Council members Briggs Jones.
No.
Cherry.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Sessoms.
Yes.
Wyatt.
No.
Vice President Graham.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed. Resolution's been adopted.
Okay.
Resolution 310-24. Need a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
And roll call?
Roll call Resolution 310-24. Council members Briggs Jones.
No.
Cherry.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Sessoms.
Yes.
Wyatt.
No.
Vice President Graham.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed. Resolution has been adopted. Finally, Resolution 311-24.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Council members Briggs Jones.
No.
Cherry.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Sessoms.
Yes.
Wyatt.
No.
Vice President Graham.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed. Resolution's been adopted. That concludes resolutions this evening.
Okay. And now come the ordinances on first reading. Madam Deputy, would you please read MC 2024-39 by title?
MC 2024-39 is an ordinance amending the schedule of salaries and wages adopted pursuant to Article 14, Chapter 11 of the Municipal Code of the City of Plainfield, New Jersey, Salary Amendment, Plainfield Municipal Employees Association.
I'll entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, clerk, can I have a roll call?
Roll call MC 2024-39. Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Sessoms.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Graham.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
Ordinance has been adopted on first reading.
Thank you. Madam Deputy, please read MC 2024-40 by title.
MC 2024-40 is an ordinance for a four-way stop intersection at Rushmore Avenue and West 3rd Street to amend and supplement Chapter 16, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 7, through streets, stop intersections, stopped and yield intersections, designating certain four-way stop and three-way stop intersections.
I'll entertain a motion and a second.
Second.
Clerk can have a roll call.
Roll call MC 2024-40. Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Sessoms.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Graham.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
This ordinance has been introduced on first reading.
Okay, Madam Clerk. Please read.
MC 2024-41 is an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of 153 East 4th Street designated as Block 840, Lot 4, and known as the Alley from the City of Plainfield to 306 Watchung LLC.
I'll entertain a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Roll call MC 2024-41. Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Sessoms.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Graham.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
This ordinance has been introduced on first reading.
Okay, Madam Clerk. please.
MC 2024-42 is an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of 543 West 4th Street, designated as Block 772, Lot 1, from the City of Plainfield to Shiloh Baptist Church of Plainfield.
I entertain a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, roll call.
Roll call MC 2024-42. Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Sessoms.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Graham.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
This ordinance has been introduced on first reading.
Madam Clerk, please proceed.
MC 2024-43 is an ordinance of the City of Plainfield and the County of Union granting a tax exemption with respect to certain property identified on the city's tax map as Block 535, Lot 3, and designated in the city tax records as 1123-25 West 7th Street, Plainfield, New Jersey, and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with 1123 West 7th Urban Renewal LLC.
I'll entertain a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Roll call MC 2024-43. Council members Briggs Jones.
No.
Cherry.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Sessoms.
Yes.
Wyatt.
No.
Vice President Graham.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed. Ordinance has been introduced on first reading.
Please proceed.
MC 2024-44 is an ordinance of the City of Plainfield and the County of Union granting a tax exemption with respect to certain property identified on the city's tax map as Block 341, Lot 2, and Block 344, Lot 3, and designated in the city's tax records as 336-346 Johnston Avenue and 768-900 North Avenue, Plainfield, New Jersey, and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with North Avenue Warehouse, OZ, Urban Renewal, LLC.
I'll entertain a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Roll call MC 2024-44. Council members Briggs Jones.
No.
Cherry.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Sessoms.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Thank you. Vice President Graham.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed. Ordinance has been introduced.
MC 2024-45 is an ordinance authorizing the First Amendment of the financial agreement with SWE Plainfield Development Urban Renewal, LP, with respect to certain property identified as Block 233, Lots 2, 3, 7, and 12 on the official tax map of the city.
I'll entertain a motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
Clerk, may we have a roll call?
MC 2024-45. Council members Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Cherry.
Yes.
McCray.
Yes.
Sessoms.
Yes.
Wyatt.
No.
Vice President Graham.
Yes.
Council President Hockaday.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed. Ordinance has been introduced on first reading. That concludes ordinances on first reading for this evening.
Okay, thank you. A total of 30 minutes has been allocated for all public comments. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. If you wish to use online, the information is on the city's website, as well as posted on the YouTube link. All right, please state your name and address for the record. The floor is now yours.
Stephanie Chambers, my apologies.
No worries at all.
645 East 6th Street. And for about 2 years now, I've been having an issue with cats. I am not an animal lover, okay? I don't own animals, I don't want animals. I have upwards of 20 cats that visit my yard, and it's becoming a health hazard. My husband just today could only mow half the yard because he was busy picking up feces from the yard before mowing. So my backyard is my oasis. I'm not a native of Plainfield, and to be truthful, I don't like Plainfield. But my husband is born here. He loves it here. You know, I agreed to give it a try, but this try is not working out for me. These cats have become such a nuisance. I have a video of just yesterday, a cat giving birth underneath my car. And it's stressful, the amount of cats that are at my house right now. And Dennis Waters, who recently, I guess, joined Animal Control, and Officer Mercado, who I've been working with since last year, have been very helpful in doing whatever they can. I mean, they just came out today to get the kittens that the mother didn't take away. I couldn't go into the office this morning because the cat was still under my car, and I didn't want to run the cat over with her brand new kittens. I understand there's an issue with getting funding for a trap and release program. You know, I understand you guys can, I guess, spay and neuter them. This particular female this is her second set of kittens, the first in 6 months. So I've learned so much about cats, it's crazy. I don't want to know about cats, but apparently they can breed every 6 months, and these cats are doing that. I've watched kittens turn into cats who then have babies, and they seem to like my yard. My husband says it's because I don't like them that they flock to me. And I'm establishing relationship with cats now because it's either they don't run when they see me. They're communing with my company. My friends are like, Stephanie, we didn't know you had cats. I don't have cats. I don't want cats. I don't want to pick up poop. I don't want to smell feces when I'm sitting in my yard, but that's what's going on. And it's been 2 years now. I have so many pictures. I've started to name them, okay? You guys got rid of the roosters. Thank you so much for that. You know, that was taken care of. But these cats, something has to be done. It's affecting my way of life. So I don't know what needs to be done, but I will be here for every meeting until something is done. So get used to my
Thank
face.
you.
Stephanie Chambers. Thank you for your time.
Name and address for the record. The floor is yours.
Luke Lee, 310 Hillcrest Avenue in Plainfield. I know you voted, most of you, to approve the pilot program for 1123 West 7th Street on first reading. So it'll give you, some of you, a month to reconsider your vote, I hope. I mentioned in my previous remarks that I thought that this high-density project in a low to medium-density neighborhood was inappropriate. And I mentioned that parking is going to be an issue if there's any overflow from the parking that the developer will provide for this high-density project. And the third point, which eluded me at the time, was that there had been a lot of comment about the need for building homes in Plainfield so people could have home ownership and build equity rather than be apartment renters. The 1123 West 7th Street is currently a residential property that would be ideal for an 8 to 12 unit townhouse development. In years past along West 7th Street and over towards Arlington Avenue and Randolph Road, there were townhouse developments put up in Plainfield so that people could buy their unit rather than rent them. I don't know why that isn't popular now. Somebody mentioned that isn't what the banks are financing. But I respectfully disagree with the mayor, who seemed to think it was the responsibility of council members to find developers willing to build projects such as townhouse developments. I think it's the responsibility of the administration to promote that, and they should do so. But if you approve this $6 million tax break for the developer, that particular property will be lost for many, many years. And the opportunity to develop a 75 by 400 foot lot for townhouse development will be gone. And the dreams of providing home ownership for people who want to move into Plainfield will go out the window. So I hope some of you will reconsider the inappropriateness of the project, the parking problems, and the loss of an opportunity to have that property developed properly in a low-density fashion with perhaps townhouse units will be lost if you approve the $6 million tax break on second reading. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maria and Sari Watchung Avenue. At the beginning of this year, the administration begged for assistance regarding challenges with animal control. We responded to that, and I think we have set up the beginning of a good working relationship. Regarding Ms. Chambers, I believe we can work on that and handle it humanely. It actually gives a segue to what I want to bring up. If stray cats are ignored, or if they're trapped and killed, they keep coming back. But spaying, neutering, there's humane ways to handle it. I cannot in good conscience take care of one species when this administration still allows the brutal, violent slaughter of deer. You no longer have a reason for doing that. It's just become a perk for the privileged ones out of Union County. We have 3 sports hunters who set up shop every year in Cedar Brook Park, Greenbrook Park, and Cushing Basin, I believe. They are totally unmonitored. They set bait stations, and baiting attracts more wildlife. So that's actually a health hazard. You would not permit residents to feed wildlife. The sports hunters should not be doing it. The animals they're killing are for their personal use. We need to stop it. So I'll end with a question. When can we expect this administration, this council, to call the moratorium on the sports killing that is happening as routine every year? If we set up slaughterhouses, there would be blowback, rightfully so. Union County requires this council to approve that killing. Last year you ignored it. This year we can't ignore it. I hope to see it in a very soon to come council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it? Coming up?
Gloria Gonzalez. Jankowski, Woodmere Place in Plainfield. So I'd like to speak about two issues related to Peaceful Plainfield, which was a program here around 2016 or 2017 by young people and supported by Mayor Map. So Peaceful Plainfield, I think we all say is a good idea. I'd like to speak about two aspects of peace. The first is peace versus noise. We have a lot of noise in Plainfield, and this was brought up on Facebook about the loud exhaust noises. And also, I note too that when there's loud exhaust noises, for whatever reason, it's antisocial behavior. It's annoying, but oftentimes it goes along with speed. I did call the clerk, I didn't hear back from him, but I did do some research, and there is, on the books from 1988, whether it's an ordinance, regulating unnecessarily and disturbing noise, so that would be the mufflers. I asked Dr. or Mr. Abney at a get-together in our neighborhood last year what we could do about it. And he basically said, well, you can go to the house of the parents and talk to them, and we'll go there too. But I think something more needs to be done. I actually looked into what the state has said about this, and they say that, I think there's still some ongoing discussion that some devices related to muffler noises would be illegal. But I think we already have something on the books in Plainfield, and we need to enforce these, this antisocial behavior, which could morph into dangerous behavior. The other issue related to Peaceful Plainfield is peace related to peace versus violence. And I echo Marie Ansari's comments to a large degree. We need to have a moratorium on this deer killing. We've been bamboozled, and there is a hunting lobby in Union County. Yet finally, first it was Lyme disease, then it was motor vehicle accidents, but we've opened that. We find that there's no connection, there's no correlation, and even esteemed establishments or institutions like Rutgers and Harvard have come out and said that too. So really, what's the reason? It's punitive, it's to the deer, it's about deer eating residential planting, but by now we should really accept that the deer are here to stay. There are some things we can't plant. You want to have a fence, whatever, but don't kill the deer don't kill them at all. But crossbow is a brutal way of doing it. I have more to say, but
Thank you.
But I would like a moratorium from the council.
Thank you so much. Anyone further? Going once.
Okay, again, Kwame Palmer Chalmers, 12270 East Front Street, Plainfield, New Jersey. I listened to the mayor's response to Councilwoman Briggs about finding a developer and all that different things who will do single-family houses. And as we're coming off of that spectacular July 4th weekend, I'm reminded that in the United States, we have something that Thomas Jefferson said were inalienable rights, right? He said life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, one thing we don't realize is that he took that quote from another great thinker named John Locke. And John Locke said that we should have life, liberty, and the pursuit of, watch this, property. And in the United States, home ownership is still the way that we build wealth in America, through our homes. And as people of color, knowing what the United States put us through just trying to own a home, right? Redlining and making sure that our men who returned back from the military could not use their VA loans to purchase homes where they wanted to. Making sure that our houses are devalued when they're appraised, not at the level that they should, so that we could get the same amount of money that someone would get in Westfield for the same house and same property, if not more. So we know some of the struggles that comes along with home ownership as far as people of color are concerned. So because I don't know much about how to find a developer and how the process, and if I'm reading between the lines of what the mayor said, there really isn't a lot of interest in building single-family homes. Banks are not financing, and developers, I guess, don't want to do the job because banks are not financing. But since he put the ball in the court of the council person and the persons, I would like to be educated on the process. I would like to know how the process works, what goes into it, so I have a better understanding of why we cannot build single-family homes so that people of color who want to move here in Plainfield can do just like our parents did and were able to buy homes and use their homes as a leg up to build wealth in the United States. I think that's something that we should look into. And I think Plainfield could set the example for other cities who are taking small lots and they're building 70 units on a small lot that used to be a 1 or 2 family house and you can't park, and we're giving 30-year abatements to these developers who sometimes pay and sometimes don't pay, because we have issues with them not paying, but they're still collecting rents, and the rents are going up, and they're still getting high revenues, and the cities are not getting the money that they're supposed to get.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
We do have one person virtually.
Okay, please let them in. Name and address for the record. Unmute yourself.
Hi, William Mike. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
William Michelson, 556 Belvedere Avenue. Something that I have not been able to get anyone's attention to. If you drive west on West Front Street past Rock Avenue, there's this big sign on the right in front of the Jefferson School, about a state contract to do work on the street in 2012. 2012. It's been sitting there for 12 years. I tried to get the State Department of Transportation to get rid of it because it's probably theirs. But the only way you can do that is on the website. You mark the spot with your cursor where you're trying to get their attention to something. And it tells you this is not under state jurisdiction. Well, it used to be. I don't know if it is now. But they're not getting rid of it, and there doesn't seem to be any way to get their attention to it. So my request is that a letter be sent to the DOT asking them to get rid of it, and that if they don't within 30 days, the city will assume that DOT has no objection to us getting rid of it, and I would appreciate the Department of Public Works coming and cutting it down under those circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's the last one online. I'll entertain a motion in a second, close public comment.
So moved. Second.
Okay, public comment is now closed. There were just some outstanding items, one about shade tree. If you want to just mention that, what that means, for clarification. If there was any other issues that the administration wants to clarify before we conclude, we can do that.
Just clarify for shade tree. So we have a certain amount of definition of trees, so it includes maple trees, cherry trees, elm trees, hackberry trees, sycamore trees, they're on here too, and I'm just gonna read the list. Pine oak, yeah, you got the sycamore, the different breeds of maple. Yes, and that's about it, and the different kinds of oak trees.
Okay. All right.
Council President?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I'd like to respond to the resident who asked about
waiver?
The qualifications for the two persons that are being hired. The qualifications were the CTA, and no one from Plainfield applied that had those qualifications. So everyone that responded were from out of town, and the two best candidates were chosen. Then there was another question on, don't remember. Oh,
Disabled
the veterans. There were 2 properties, 2 veterans, not 1 property alone. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Wyatt?
Yes, just a quick question. As we all can attest to, the heat has been very brutal. Do we still have the cooling stations throughout the city, and how are we advertising that? That was a question about that.
Director?
Yes, we do. We're utilizing the senior center, and on certain days, we are utilizing Fronton Church as outdoor cooling center. I have 2 mist fans and a tent, and we also hand out water for hydration.
Okay. All right. And how do we get that information out? We're just using the social media platforms?
That's going to be communications department.
Okay.
There was also actually an article in My Central New Jersey about the one on Church.
There was a question in regards to the unmanned aerial system or the drones that we're using. The police department can't go outside of federal or state or county or local guidelines or laws, so we have to comply with whatever is available. So we can't trample on people's individual rights.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
Thanks for
Director
that.
Childress, what is the hours for the cooling season? Like, is there a certain amount? Because there's a lady that's been floating in front of my house, and actually she was out there in the heat. And me and my husband actually fed her and gave her cold water and made sure that she was cool. And she was out like 2 in the morning, and we've been seeing to her.
The cooling center is open from 10 to 5 at the senior center. And if the outdoor cooling center is open, and that's based on manpower that I have, then that's open till 6.
Yeah, Councilwoman Cherry just brought up to me that the city is doing a comprehensive outreach project for any veterans who we have in the city, so we can hang your banner, and there's an application process. So if you are a veteran and you're listening to this message, please come to City Hall so we can walk you through the application process and make sure that you are properly recognized.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for coming out, braving the heat. Have a good summer. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.